It is every parent's desire, especially every African parent's desire, to have their children, more so the girl child, to desire marriage. Hopefully they grow up one day, find a nice gentleman, settle down, have kids, and start a life with them. They believe that finding a husband is important, finding a wife is important. So you can imagine how it will devastate a mother when a daughter tells her mom, I do not desire to ever get married in my life. I do not even want to have kids. The only thing I can consider maybe is to adopt a child. But for marriage and for children, I do not desire any of these things. You can imagine the trauma, the disappointment, and how upsetting it will be for a mother to hear this from her child. This is the story we have on our table today from a young woman. She says she's okay, she's comfortable, she has a good life, and she does not desire to get married. Her mom does not understand this whole crazy idea of hers. Why do you not want to get married? Why not have kids? Why not go out there and find a man? You're not growing any younger. But she says, that's none of my business. I mean, I do not want to do this. The mother went as far as to ask her never to speak to her again and never to step foot at her funeral. So you can imagine a mother, a child, they're at loggerheads, there's no peace at home. One person feels like she's not being understood. One person also feels like there's definitely something wrong with my child for having these crazy ideas. What are some of the issues you have at home? What are some of the issues you have at work? What are some of the relationship, career, any issue you're going through in your life? This is Real Talk on Hope TV Ghana. We encourage you to send us our story through our WhatsApp number or email address. It can be on any aspect of your life. It can even be on finances. Send it to us. We'll find you the right panelist to have a great conversation. My name is Evie, the usual host of the show. As usual, I have amazing people joining me in the studio and virtually. I'd like to remind you that we are live on Hope TV Ghana on Facebook and YouTube. So stream with us, join the conversation, tell a friend to tell a friend. Leave your comments, your thoughts, and your contributions under the comment section. And as the program goes on, I'll make sure to read some of them. I have with me in the studio a very fine gentleman. He came to visit Ghana just for some few weeks, months, and he has decided to join us in the studio to share his ideas, to have a conversation. He's coming all the way from the States, if I'm not mistaken, and he is Mr. Edmond Lamptey.
Yeah, thank you.
Edmond, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
How has your stay been so far in Ghana since you came?
Oh, it's not bad. And I mean, it's manageable.
It's manageable. Is it the same as you left? Are you seeing some changes here and there, or there's no much change?
There's a little bit of retrogression, so
rather. Oh my God! I thought we were moving forward, though. No. Oh, we haven't. No. Oh, that's so sad to hear. But I'm sure you're enjoying your stay all the same.
I am.
Thank you so much for coming to the studio. Okay, so the next person joining me virtually is Mrs. Barbara Owusu Frimpong Manso. Barbara, hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Evie.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you too?
I am so fine, thank you. So great to have you on the show. I hope you're ready for this conversation.
Oh, sure. I'm so ready. If you're looking very beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Your hairstyle.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, so the next person joining me is Priscilla Eyuwachureme. Priscilla, can you hear me? Priscilla seems to be having some issues with her connection. I'll try and check in with her later, but I'll move on to Kenneth. Pastor Kenneth Apiakubi, he's not a stranger on the show. He's joining us all the way from Canada. Pastor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Evie.
Hi. It's so good to see you again.
Well, good to see you. Always doing miracles on the show.
Are you excited to join the conversation?
Yeah, I'm excited. It seems like it's an interesting topic. One of the thoughts that I had when I was growing up, and so I'm excited about it.
Great, 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 great. Priscilla, if you can hear me, you can say hi. If not, I'd like to check in with you later. We'd have to take a look at our story. So please pay attention, listen to all the things in there. Try and leave your comments under the comment section. And when we come back, we'll delve right into the discussion. Do not go anywhere. This is Real Talk. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that quick break. I am sure you just heard our story on your screens. You've seen everything that this woman has described. She's 30 years at an age where everybody will be asking you to get married, from parents to friends to church members to the society at large. At an age where they would ask you to think of marriage, think of children. But this is the age where someone says, I do not desire to have kids. I do not desire to have a husband. Can't I live my life without being married? Is it by force for me to ever get married in my life? What if I decide to stay like this? I decide to stay single for the rest of my life. Is it against God? Is it against what the Bible preaches? Society should leave me alone. Why is my mother forcing me to have a husband when I do not want to? Edmund, I'll come to you and I'll ask, what is your general take on this story? I mean, she says she's comfortable, she's working, she has a good job. So financially, let's say she's quite secure, and she is 30. She's not growing any younger. I mean, right. Thinking of childbirth and all that, settling down. This is the age where most people would decide who they want to spend the rest of their lives with. But she says no. What do you think is going on here?
When I actually read through the story, I personally thought that maybe she has to really come to a good terms with herself. Maybe she has not yet understood the meaning or the context of marriage.
Okay.
I work in an assisted living. There are certain stories that you may hear from the older people. I work with a certain, I take care of a certain woman who is 103,
oh, wow.
103 years old. She did not get married, and then she doesn't have kids. It's so sad that sometimes when people come to visit and nobody comes to visit her, it tends to become something else.
Right.
Maybe she has to think of the future, but not now. So I think that maybe she might actually need somebody to actually talk to her, or maybe seek counseling or pray more and seek God for directions. Sometimes I know it is not easy, because probably it might be that maybe she has actually had an experience from somebody who has gone into marriage and then it has broken, or maybe her mother herself has gone to a bad marriage, that the marriage didn't work.
Right.
So maybe it has become an experience for her, thinking that maybe marriage is not important. At the same time, I think maybe she might be an introvert.
Okay.
I'm not saying that everybody who is an introvert has the same problem, but probably she doesn't want to share anything that is around her. She feels comfortable by herself. Then she has to look into it very carefully, because the future is more important than what you think it is. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. That's such an interesting perspective. But I'll come to you, Barbara. I mean, young woman, most young ladies, or most ladies in their 30s they'll have the desire to marry. I mean, they're looking for husbands, they're hoping to find someone, they're hoping to settle, start this whole child-bearing thing, sort it out early so that they can enjoy their lives with their family. But here is one that is saying, me, I do not desire it. I don't want to have kids. I don't know why my mother is freaking out, but that is not my desire. What is your general take on the story, and must every woman marry?
Thank you, Evie. I was like, really? You see, people are going to churches to drink all sort of concoctions to be married. And then this fine lady says, I am never getting married. Really, who is going to be happy with that one? Nobody is going to be happy with that one. But I want to agree with our panel member in the studio. You see, before a person makes such bold decision, before a person takes such a step, it means that something might have gone on, probably in the childhood, while she's growing up, she has witnessed events and she has seen things that is making her lose interest. Or probably she may be suffering from gamophobia. This phobia is like fear of commitment or fear of marriage. And then this phobia, it comes in mild, medium, and then it can escalate. So if somebody keeps on insisting that I do not want to be committed to anything, especially in terms of marriage, we'd also want to look at the psychology behind it. Aside her experiences, what would make a lady say, I don't want to marry? Now, abuses are all over the place. So probably she doesn't want to get herself involved in any matrimony where she has to carry the cross till she dies. But then, you are supposed to marry. God created marriage. He gave us two things, the Sabbath and then marriage. And then once you are created, you're supposed to marry unless you have been set aside for a special purpose, of which we are going to talk about that one later.
What is the name of the phobia again?
Gamophobia.
I don't think I can hear you.
Oh, no.
It's like gamophobia.
Yeah. You
Right,
can check it. Yes.
right,
Fear
right.
of commitment or fear of marriage.
Of marriage. There's always something new to learn on this show. Fear of commitment or marriage. So sometimes it's not just as simple as, oh, she's saying she doesn't want to marry.
And
it can
then
be something.
another word for it is mastagonist.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like somebody who hates
mastagonist.
marriage.
Oh.
Yes. So
Wow. Pastor Kenneth, we are coming to you. We want to find out. You can speak on it generally and also from the Bible's perspective on must every woman marry. I remember Barbara said that unless there's a specific purpose for you set aside where you choose not to, great. But is it also wrong choosing not to marry? I mean, looking at the other things, when we are looking at, if she's, as Christians, obviously, if she decides to stay away from marriage, then she can't engage in the sexual activity. She can't, that would be fornication. She can't have sex to have the kids. Well, she says she even wants to adopt, so that's a whole topic on its own. But Pastor, I would like to take your view on that, and also from the Bible's perspective on a woman choosing not to marry, whether it's wrong or not, and then your general opinion as well.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think to me, when I heard and the story and I read about it, I was like, well, it's not by force for someone to marry. I was asking these questions to myself. Is this person the only child of the mother? I wasn't too sure if that could be, if that's the case. I would encourage her to like reconsider the situation and think about it as all the panel members are saying. She needs to think about not only now, but the future aspect as well. And in the general sense, I think she has the choice to choose to marry, or she has the choice to choose not to marry. And so we cannot force her, and she has the obligation to make any choices she wants. Coming into the biblical perspective, I think the Bible does allow freedom to choose to marry or choose not to marry. If you go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 8, Paul talks more about those who choose not to marry. And so if we all choose not to marry, Paul says, well, you got to be careful with sexual immorality. That is one thing. If she is so much ready to fight against all the sexual immoralities that she might face, then so be it. She can, go for it and just do exactly what she wants. But I think she has the choice, and she can do whatever she wants as far as choosing to marry or having babies are concerned.
Interesting. So you can't say, I don't want one and then be engaging in one. You have to choose your battles and you have to fight until the end. So saying I don't desire to get married is not just I don't want to get married. I mean, there are perks of being a married woman, and there are also perks of not marrying. So you can't choose one and then be adding the perks of the other to it. That's a selfish way to go. Thank you so much, Pastor, for that. Priscilla, I hear you are back on. If you can hear me, I'd like to take your general take on the story, and also ask you, as a woman, do you think it's normal for a woman to get up one day and say, oh, I do not want to get married? What do you think is going on here? What could be some of the possible reasons why this young lady has come to such, I don't know the word, such an extreme decision of deciding not to get married? I don't think Priscilla is on. Oh, Priscilla, today, dear. Whatever bird is sitting on your line, we hope it flies away so that you can connect to us. But I'll come to you again, Edmund. Yeah. I mean, you were mentioning that's not looking at the now and paying attention to the future. But aside what Barbara said, what do you think could be possibly happening to this lady that she would get up and say, oh, me? She used the word desire, which is really strong. Right. I do not desire marriage. I do not desire kids.
Like I said initially, I mean, there are so many factors that can lead to somebody deciding not to actually get married.
Right.
It could be maybe thinking that maybe when I get married, I will not be able to pay my student loan off. Or it could be that maybe when I get married, I will not be able to do whatever that I do by myself.
Right.
Maybe I need to actually share certain things with my partner or something else. And there are so many factors. But like I said, the factors at which she stated that maybe she has a good job, she's doing well, she's fine, and then that alone is okay for her now. I think that maybe she has to reconsider it, as I said.
Right.
That is not a strong factor to determine that maybe you don't want to get married. Sometimes maybe, I know of a friend who actually went to the hospital as early as 18, 19, and she was told that she will not be able to give birth. But she decided that if that be the case, she's not going to worry any person who comes into her life to just stress the person out. Think of maybe the person might need kids, and she will not be able to bear children for the person. It depends on that. But with the things that she was actually listing, that might be something that she's based on not to get married, doesn't make sense to me. It depends on whatever that she has gone through during her childhood stage. So like I would say, she has to, like I said earlier on, she has to reconsider whatever decision that she's making. The decision that she'll make today will determine what will come in the future. Because in our system, when you grow old, you might definitely need somebody to take care of you. You wouldn't want to like be laying down and then somebody might not be able to come into your aid to help you out with whatever you want to do. So maybe she has to reconsider that again.
But looking at, I mean, Barbara, you mentioned psychological and all that, but do you think this can be spiritual? Because her mother brought in the pasta, it's come and fast on her behalf.
No, it could. You know, sometimes making decisions in terms of that, you really need to pray. Spiritual aspect could be also a factor.
Right.
But like, I don't want to actually link it up too much to a spiritual aspect. But the physical aspect, as we said, could be that maybe she has seen something that maybe nobody have actually seen it.
Right.
It could be like abuse, as Pastor was saying. It could be that probably in her childhood growing up, she witnessed somebody being abused in her marriage or his marriage. So it could be so many factors. So like maybe she might need a counseling as well as praying. Her mother has to pray more, push more, so that in other words, all this decision may one day make sense to her to actually reconsider it.
Right. Priscilla, is that to you?
Yeah, Priscilla is back.
Yeah.
Hi, finally we can see you, we can hear you. It's so good to have you on our screens this evening. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. I just struggled to come back here.
So I'll just start. What is your general take on the story? And then I'll continue to ask, is it wrong choosing not to marry as a young woman? I hope Priscilla is not gone again.
I think her line is frozen.
Okay, I'll move on from Priscilla. I don't know what is happening today, but I'll move on from Priscilla and I'll come to you, Barbara. But Barbara, do you think this is a spiritual issue? Do you think the mom had to involve the pastor and say you need to be prayed for, fasting and all that? Do you think it's really that deep?
Well, when we talk about spirituality, I think it's on a different tangent altogether because we don't actually know the basis of this problem before we can talk about spirituality.
Right.
But for a lady to say, I do not desire to marry, it means that there have been a desire, you have experienced it, something had happened, and because of what happened, you do not desire again. If you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because if you have not experienced something, you can never say, I don't desire it.
Exactly.
Because desire is a very strong word to use. Well, the mother is being a typical mom. And every typical mom wants the best for her daughter, including marriage. Yes, let's make it clear that marriage is not the ultimate. You don't have to be married before you are fulfilled and satisfied in life. No. But a typical mom wants to see her daughter living a good life, going through good education, landing herself a good job, settling in marriage, giving birth, and then that's how life is supposed to be. So after that, you take care of your kids and then you move on. So if she's not getting married, and then she's talking to her, sitting her down, advising her, and then she's not showing any sign of remorse, then the next thing the mother could think about is to go to God in prayers and then fast for her and probably concourse some incantations and you know what mothers can do to us, especially when it comes to these issues. But the most important thing that the mother is missing is, what is the genesis of her daughter's decision? Why is that all of a sudden she's saying that she doesn't want to get married? What has gone on? Their mother, how is their marriage like? Is the mother married? In her mother's marriage, how is the marriage like? Her home, how is her home like? Is her home beautiful? Is her home interesting? Does it invite people to be there? If the mother is not experiencing anything beautiful called marriage, then I think the lady has every right to say, I'm not getting married, basing on what my mother is going through. If a person decides to make this extreme decision, it means that something very important happened to the person that we have to look at. But this has got nothing to do with spiritual for me, unless otherwise stated, unless the lady comes back to tell us some details then we can say it has some spiritual backing. But if we are to go by what we have just read, then, well, prayers is good. We all need prayers. But fasting and praying to God for a person who is not ready to change the mind, well, unless probably Pharaoh, the king's heart is in God's hand, he turns it the way he wants it to go, then I think we can go by that. But until then, the lady still doesn't want to. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Barbara, for that. We'll have to go for a quick break. When I come back, Pastor, I'm coming straight to you for you to speak more on the spiritual aspect of this whole issue we have on our table. This is Real Talk. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Remember to check us out on Facebook, Hope TV Ghana, YouTube, Hope TV Ghana. Enjoy the show. Leave your comments under the comment section. We'll be right back. Do not go anywhere.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff of Ares 1X. Testing concepts for the future of new rocket design.
All the best inventions in the world started with one thing: imagination. However, imagination alone is not enough to bring invention to life. Imaginations are nurtured through learning practical science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This is how to develop ideas into reality. Now imagine the future of Ghana with 60% population in STEM fields. That future starts now with the GH for STEM Junior Experimenters of Science Juniors Challenge. Watch how junior high school students from across Ghana bring STEM ideas to reality using some of the most basic materials they find in the environment. Visit www.wegoinnovate.org and follow at WeGoInnovate on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for more information. GH for STEM Junior Experimenters of Science Juniors Challenge is a We Go Innovate initiative produced in partnership with Ghana Association of Science Teachers, GAST, Ghana STEM Network, GH Scientific, and Exploratory.
Welcome back from that quick break. We are still in the studios of Hope TV Ghana on your most favorite show on the screens, Real Talk. Today we have a story to discuss from a young woman, a 30-year-old woman who has a good job, who is living comfortably financially. And she says her mother keeps asking her when she's going to get married, friends, society, everyone. And one day she told her mother that, I never want to get married. It's not my desire. I do not desire to get married. So typical of an African woman, she freaked out and decided there must be something wrong with you. And so she went to involve pastors to pray for her child. And in the anger and disappointment and despair, she reacted and told her child never to speak to her again or never to step foot at her funeral if she doesn't have a change of heart. Now, this girl is trying to reconcile with her mother. She's gone to her mother so many. Her mother's like, I'm not talking to you if you're still going on with this, your crazy idea, and I think you need prayers. But the girl says, really, she doesn't desire to ever marry or to even have kids. The most she would do in this situation is to adopt some children. This is obviously not a regular thing to hear from a girl or a young lady of 30 years. Usually at that age, we're excited to settle down and start having babies. So this is quite strange coming from her. And so because of that, we found you amazing panelists to have the conversation. We have Edmond joining us in the studio. Also virtually, we have Priscilla, we have Barbara, and then we have Kenneth joining us all the way from Canada. We are still in the conversation. I've been trying to get Priscilla to stay with us for a while now. Her line is working, so I want to check in with her quickly before I move on to any other person. Priscilla, I was asking your general take on the story so far, what we've been discussing, and also, do you think it's wrong for a woman to say she never wants to get married? Do you think choosing not to marry is wrong in the sight of God? And I'll go as further to ask, what really do you think could be the reason why she's doing or she's coming up with these ideas?
I hope Priscilla is not gone.
Priscilla?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, great.
Evie, you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll just quickly go straight to your question because of my technicalities that I'm facing.
Right.
First and foremost, I wouldn't say that it's wrong for the lady to think not to get married. The baseline of the whole situation is that we have to understand, we have to get.
Oh my God. Today is just not a good day for Priscilla. I don't know what is happening, but Pastor, I'll come to you. Is this a spiritual issue as the mother and pastor are thinking? Or could it be just societal pressures that this girl does not want to go through? That's why she's decided, I don't even want to marry for anybody to come and ask me, when am I getting married? When am I having kids? It's not in my book. Forget it. I'm not doing it. Or you think there can be something spiritual. She's fighting with some demons, some evil forces that are just worrying her as the mother thinks. So some fasting and prayers would work. Or we need to deal with this head on practically.
Yeah, I mean, there's not one single way to look at this story. I think specifically there's a possibility of spiritual issues, but I don't want to go there because we can't deal with that on this show at this point in time. What we can deal with is what we have. Right. And so I think that the most important thing that the mom needs to do is to create an environment to listen to the daughter and understand exactly what is happening. No one knows the main reason why she's making these decisions. And so I think the mom should have some moment with the daughter and speak to her to understand what she's seeing, what she's saying. And also the daughter needs to be very open. Like, you can just say it point blank, I desire not to get married. Like, give some reasons, like, mom, this and that and that and that, and that's why I don't want to get married. Apart from that, I think there's nothing wrong about praying and hoping that she would change her mind, because, you know, prayers does all things, as Christians would say. But I think in this case too, there should be some communication, some counseling and some advice from people who are very close to her and people that she probably trusts. And on top of that, some people are probably thinking and worrying about why marriage is forced in our world today. Like, you know, you get to a certain age and all your aunties and uncles and your enemies are calling you, when is the wedding date? I think what we should always probably embrace is, why should people marry? If they have seen a lot of marriages failing in our world today, like people struggling with marriage, like people do a wedding like $20,000 and then the next week they are doing counseling in the hospital or maybe in a clinic trying to figure out what the relationship is all about. And so I think we should give her the benefit of the doubt and probably create a space where she can express herself and explain why she don't want to get married. And on top of that, probably also let the parent know why she's making that decision. If you don't want to have kids, there's no problem adopting. Someone said in the chat that Jesus Christ even didn't marry. I asked myself the question, did Jesus have the choice to marry or not? But that's for another day. Thank you.
Okay, but Pastor, what do you think of the mother's approach, her reaction? This emotional blackmail of, do not step foot at my funeral and I won't talk to you until you get rid of those crazy ideas. Do you think she overreacted? Do you think her approach could have been better? Because honestly, our parents are fond of just jumping on you and just coming, what sort of crazy, they don't listen. It's like, it's either you marry or you don't talk to me. I mean, I think that's quite an extreme way of reacting to this news, instead of sitting there and trying to find the root cause. Do you think the mother overreacted with her demands and ultimatums here and there?
Yeah, I think she did, because first of all, like, we have a phrase which we call African parents. They will over exaggerate. Like, even if it is just a small case, they will call on God. And like, God, this one you have to come through, you know? So, I mean, I'm not saying you don't call on God on all situations, but I think she overreacted, and she should have probably, again, understand what the daughter is saying. And as I said early on, listen and try to understand her reasons. Someone was asking before, is the mom even in a better relationship right now? Is the dad at home? You know, like, I don't think if the dad was at home, the mom will probably be reacting this way. She would probably want to talk to the dad and say, oh, well, your daughter don't want to get married. So I think our African parents, Auntie Kunedu and them, please have some time and listen to your children, because it's very important that you know why they're making some decisions. And if they don't want to, just probably keep on praying that God will change their mind, or after listening to them and whatever they say, they don't want to do whatever you request them to do. So that's what I think. She overreacted for sure.
Edward, what do you think of the mother's
I just wanted
reaction?
to add something to what Pastor said.
Right.
I think it is about our society. It is what the society has created, that people might look at the mother to be a failure if her daughter does not marry or the son doesn't get married.
Right.
Because everybody's kid is getting married, and what happened? Could it be that your house, as a spiritual issue we're talking about, could it be that is something wrong in your house, or from the family that you came from, or the background of the family that you are from? So it is about society.
Right.
Back in the United States, if somebody decides not to get married, I don't think the parents are just going to go crazy, outrageous as the way that the mother is trying to do.
Right.
Saying all sort of things that when I die, don't come to my funeral and all those things. It hasn't happened. But the society at which we all find ourselves in, as an African society, that is what we have created. Even in church, as soon as you go to church, so when are you getting, you just finished schooling. I mean, you just started doing, working.
Yeah.
I mean, when are you getting married?
Right.
They'll push you so you make a wrong choice of getting somebody you don't even desire. Then at the end, when problems start arising and you call them, nobody will even show up. So I believe that probably, like I said, when we went for commercial break, I was actually telling you that probably it could be that maybe she has experienced a very traumatic experience during maybe her relationship, during school stage or school time. Or probably maybe she was raped and that she doesn't want to talk about it. It's a bad experience. And when thinking through all these things, this could be possibly factors that are actually pushing her to make the decision of not actually trying to get married. And it could be that maybe something that she has heard aside from, probably from friends. And influences from friends can also be a factor. So I strongly think, as in what Pastor said, the mother should have time, sit down with her, talk through her, pray with her, and then actually continue to counsel and then guide her as a mother. I believe maybe there will be a change of heart as time goes on.
Okay. Anyone believes that maybe there will be a change of heart? Barbara, what do you think should have been the best approach this mother could have used? Freaking out and telling her not to come to her funeral and never to talk to her again. Do you think she could have supported her child in this very unusual desire or decision? What do you think would have been the best here? Because she's pushing the child away. She's saying, don't come to me, don't talk to me. That's quite sad.
Exactly. Yes. You see, mothers are so, like Pastor said, the exaggeration, the listening, they are shouting, calling your aunties and uncles to come and deliver. You see, she's a grown-up girl now. Even though she's still your child, you can't overindulge her like you are doing right now. By threatening her not to come to your funeral. If you are dead, you are dead. If she doesn't come to your funeral, what happens? Nothing. The society that is going to blame her. You know, Evie, these days or this 21st century, my husband will say we are the last whole generation. We love freedom. We cherish our independence.
Right.
We want to be respected. Our decisions should be counted. So if you want to threaten me, or if you want me to leave my comfort zone without tangible reasons, I'm definitely going to react. I am going to be defensive. So for a mother to threaten her child by saying, do not come to my funeral when I die, it's not going to get her married. Not at all. Sit her down. Let her know the importance of marriage. Not because society wants her to marry, or because society is going to laugh at the woman because she's a failure, that her daughter is not getting married. No. But just as my co-panelists have said, sit her down, think things through, give her time, let her reason with you as two women having a conversation. Let her allay all her fears to you. Whatever her difficulties are, whatever her challenges about marriage is, let her tell you. So as she's doing that, it's called talking therapy. So as she's doing that, you also try to allay her fears. You know, maybe she's having all these irrational thoughts about marriage, the whole idea of sharing my space with another man. I can't do that. So I don't want to marry at all. So if the mother should have enough patience for the child, sit her down, talk to her, let her talk back to her, then they will see progress. But you don't cry and act, oh, I'm going to die if you don't marry. You even worsen the case. You see, she's a grown-up, she's working, she has her own place of living. Even if you decide not to, or even if you decide not to call her your daughter again, what happens? Nothing. Nothing spoils. It's going to hurt for a while. If you are dead, you are gone. The living will keep on living. But again, I'm thinking, what if this lady is also involved in an illicit relationship where she can't betray the person she's in with, and because of that, she doesn't want to get married? I'm just thinking wild, and I'm just guessing. I'm not saying that is it. But what if she's probably a lesbian, and because of that, she doesn't want to marry? Nobody should disturb her with this whole marriage something. It's something that just came to mind, and it's possible because I have friends who are so vouch of never getting married in this world and even in the afterworld, if there is anything like that, because of places they find themselves in and activities they involve themselves in. So if the mothers are mothers, every mother is the same. They are all going to react the same way. But then we have come of age. The hollow balloon, the brouhaha, it's okay. We don't need that one anymore. We need dialogue. You know, we need conversation. We need you to see us to be elderly. They still see us as babies, like they are still breastfeeding us, so they can force things on us. No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't work like that anymore. So please see us as adults, and then let's talk to you as two adults are talking, and then you'll see the way forward. But not to tell me not to come to your funeral. What if by the time you are dead, I'll be out of the country, and then I won't even have the visa to come down to your funeral? What will happen? So we need dialogue more than threats.
Right. I couldn't agree with you any better. Children die, grown-ups die. What if your daughter dies before you? Would you not go to her funeral?
I know.
So these things, they do happen. I have some comments coming in that I'd like to read. This is from Nana Masewa. She says, personal experience can also influence her decision. Something must have happened to her or someone close to her. Denzel Boachi says, what is so important about marriage, if not for children and warming the sheets? We have been lied about the beauty of marriage so much, but later, after entering it, it isn't true. Jesus did not even marry if it was so important. Okay. Evelyn Ofori Ampoma says, Evie, looking at the statement she made, I am comfortable. Probably she thinks life is all about getting a good job, salary, and all the physical stuff in life, but she has to think about the future so that it doesn't cost her, just as Edmond said. Echan said, maybe she has some bad experiences with guys, so she doesn't feel the need to get married, but I pray she changes her mindset. With her mom too, she should pray to God to change her daughter's mindset. Okay, Yentumi, A-class says, not everyone is born to marry. Paul did not marry, apart from the possible personal experiences. Okay, Ernestina Boche says, Yes, marriage is not for everyone. No one should blackmail anyone to marry. It will forever be a personal decision, and the spouse alone will bear the consequences of the decision to marry or not. He who finds a wife finds favor with the Lord, but that's not the only way to obtain favor from God. Things are changing, and society must be willing to adapt to reasonable changes. Someone can decide not to marry, and that is not abnormal in any way. Okay. Harriet Ifua says, as for me, I think it is weird. Mary Fatoma says, let the will of God be done in her life so that she can one day change her mindset about marriage. Pastor, there's this comment that I want you to address, because the person is saying that marriage was a curse from God. God never created marriage, else he would have cursed Eve after the so-called eating of the fruits. These are some of the lies we have been told. But we know that marriage was an institution created by God himself. Can you clarify that comment for us before? We do not want anybody picking any wrong information from our comments. So please clarify it for us so that we can move on.
I saw that comment somewhere there. I'm like, wow, this is so interesting. First of all, yes, God did not curse marriage. God created marriage. If you read Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 28, and in Genesis chapter 2, when God planted Adam into the Garden of Eden, that's when he added Eve to him. And so God created marriage, and he told Adam that you should multiply. And that's where marriage and babies comes in. And so, yes, God created marriage, and it was not cursed. The part that this person is trying to talk about probably is Genesis chapter 3, when God was cursing Eve and Adam for disobeying him. He cursed Eve. He did not even curse Eve on the marriage. He cursed Eve on the process of giving birth. That was the only thing that Eve received. And so, yes, for sure, God did not curse marriage. In fact, I think marriage is, as Sister Barbara said, it's one of the things that was created in the beginning with Sabbath as an institution that God duly respect. And that's why there are so many stories where God fight against marriages that are not according to his will.
Right. Thank you so much for that education before people pick wrong information. But before we go, Pastor, what should she do? What should this young lady do? Do you think she should go on with this her idea of never wanting to get married, or you think she should rethink her decision, maybe seek some counseling? What do you think she should do?
Yeah, I mean, she said in the story that she have her own choice. I think many people have thought about the fact that getting married is because you want to have a better life. And she thinks she have a better life by having work and living a comfortable life. And so as we've all talked about here, marriage is not only about just having babies or having a man or a woman beside you, vice versa, based on your gender. I think the most important thing we should think about here, and she should probably consider, is the fact that life in future and present is as important as salvation. The reason why I'm saying that is because some marriage can break you or can make you be a good Christian. Maybe she's a good Christian now, and then she thinks when she gets married, her Christian life is going to mess up. She can make her decision and be faithful to God in her situation and choices that she's making right now. God does not force marriage. Therefore, no man should force marriage. And God says when someone married, no one should break it apart, which means when she marries, no one else will tell her to break it apart. And I'm thinking about so many things. What if she knows she can't give birth or satisfy a man, and then she gets into the marriage, and then 2 weeks, the guy said, sis, you can't even talk in bed, bye. How are we going to respond to this? It's not going to be really a good thing. So I'll encourage her to consider her situations and think about the other possibilities of at least making mommy happy or talking to mommy and, reassessing the situation all over again. And hopefully that God will help her to make the final decision that the mom will be happy, she will be happy, and the whole world will be happy. So that people will not think about just going to marriage, but also praising God in any decisions or choices that they make. What if their son is supposed to be the president of Ghana to redeem Ghana, and she don't want to get married and have a baby. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm done. Thank you.
Right.
Yes.
Anyone, what
Yeah.
should this young lady do?
I think there was a passage in our hymnal that says that what a friend we have in Jesus, that we do not carry all our burdens onto him. We have to actually go to him with all our problems and our burdens. Like as Pastor said, it could be so many things.
Right.
But I believe that she should actually come into terms with herself. Not now, but the future is more important, like I said earlier on.
Yeah.
So she should actually give a consideration as to what she would want for the future. Adopting a child is okay. I have adopted a child.
Oh, God bless
Even though I
you.
have my child,
Right.
but I have adopted. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's something that goes along it, like if you have your own blood, it is more sweeter than you having somebody, because at the end, the link will not be probably there.
Okay.
Even though you adopted, and you might take the person as your own child. So maybe what I would think is she has to actually come into terms with herself, pray more. Prayer does everything. I can assure you, and I know people who have gone through traumatic situations, but with prayer and counseling, they came out successfully.
Right.
And I believe that when she continued to pray, seek God for intervention and then directions, together with the mom, have a conversation, concrete conversations, matured ones, sit down with her. Probably there's something, as somebody said that probably she's a lesbian. Nobody knows.
never know.
Maybe she doesn't want to open up. That is where the spiritual aspect comes in, but I don't want to actually dive into that.
Yeah.
So she has to come into terms with herself, decide what she wants for the future, and then now make a concrete decision. If she doesn't want to get married, fine, so be it. But then the future is more important.
The future is more important. Barbara, your final words for this lady.
Okay, Evie, before I go to my final words, I want to add a little to what Pastor said about curses and marriages. You know, if you're a Christian and you read your Bible, you know that throughout the Bible, God calls himself the groom, and then he is married to us, the church. So if marriage has been cursed from Eden, I don't see where God is going to call himself a groom, and then he's preparing himself to be the bride, calling us the church. And this one is the setting of marriage. So in no way marriage has ever been cursed. Marriage is beautiful. All those who happen to be in marriages, they are lucky and then they are blessed. All right, away from that, Evie, you see, in Matthew, Jesus talked about those who want to be eunuchs. And then he gave 3 categorizations. He said that the type of eunuchs, they were made so so that the kingdom of God will be glorified. Then there are parts of eunuchs who were made so by men. And then we have eunuchs who are people who have decided to be eunuchs. So in these 3 categories, where do my sister belong? Was it made from birth? Did somebody make her an eunuch, or she has decided to be one? If you decide never to marry, it means that you are going to live by the dictates of eunuchs. Like you are going to live a life of celibacy. You are giving everything, your will, your all, everything to God. It means you are going to get married to God. So you are not sleeping with anybody. You are not going to have any sexual desires. Even if your libido arises, or even if the urge comes to try to control yourself and live your life throughout in the service of God. If she's willing to do that, fine. We can't force her into marriage. But until she's able to do these things, then she can't say, I don't desire to marry. We can't force anybody into marriage, true. But then what does the future hold? It is now that she says she doesn't desire marriage. So if she could herself like some 10 years, 15 years, will she still say the same thing? No. Right. So for her, what she has to do is to open up to a significant other. You know, now we have counselors all over the place, like myself, Counselor African. So yes, you can get to me, we talk about these things. You know, some of these things are just irrational thoughts, illogical thoughts, some belief systems we have, and then some cognitive disturbances that is making us say all these things. When she she decides to have an introversion, like she should have an introversion, think about things, go back into her childhood, all the things that she has repressed, all the experiences that she has kept to herself. Let her rethink them. Sometimes it's very scary going through this therapy, but if you're able to do that, it helps a lot. And then after that, you can make good decisions. And some of these good decisions is about she getting married, not getting married for herself, but for her mom, especially for God and for country. If you all decide not to marry, you won't be the host. We won't be there. Will not be panel members. Nobody will be here because you are not getting married. Nobody's going to give birth. You're all going to work alone. And who should give birth for you to adopt?
I know.
You get the point.
Right.
Yes, we all don't want to marry. You all want to be celibate. But then my last words are: if truly and genuinely she wants to live a life of celibacy, then it's good. But she should make sure that from now to the day she goes to sleep, everything should be in the service of God. No corruption, nothing whatsoever. Even then, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Barbara. As you've heard from our panelists, very different opinions, but similar all the same. There could be so many reasons why this young lady has come to this decision. We've looked at what could have happened to her in the past. We've looked at what she's seeing even now with home. We've looked at possibly the activities she's engaged in. But one thing that we all agree on is that marriage is not by force, and also marriage should not be rushed into. But your reason for deciding not to as well, you need to make sure that you are okay with yourself. You are going to stand by it. As Barbara said, you're going to live a life of celibacy. You're not going to engage in any sexual activity. You are going to live by yourself and live for God. And if you want to adopt, you can go ahead and do so. But also remember that taking care of children is a very difficult thing. And raising a child in a home by a single mother, it's not as easy as you see on the TV. It's not as rosy. You need a man in the home to do the parts of a man and also be a woman to nurture the child. So don't be too quick to make this decision and go just by how you feel now. As Edwin said, think about the future. A time will come that you'll be by your side. You'll be just by yourself. You see the way your mother is fighting with you, you even get anybody to fight with you, to quarrel with you, for you to say, oh, I'm going to a home, for her to say, do not speak to me again. You'll be all by yourself. And for the mothers, please, we know you are dramatic, you know you are passionate, but please, you need to calm down for us. Sometimes we are so quick to react, we miss the message that our children are telling us. We are so quick to go like, why are you being disobedient? Why you are disappointing me? But the kids are crying out for help and we keep missing them. Be calm. Yes, you want your child to get married, but she's not getting married for you. You do not expect your child to marry and be so miserable. That's not what you want for your child. So listen, be a supportive system, pray with us, and hopefully we will all come to a great conclusion. I hope this lady is watching us as she said she would and listening and taking notes. Please, if you need to reach out, Barbara said you can reach out and then you guys can have a discussion and see how best you can just sort this issue out so that you know that at the end of the day, you made an informed decision and you're willing to live by your decision. So before we go quickly, greetings from abroad, Real Talk version. Kenneth, you are in Canada. Please, who do you want to say hi to?
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity. I want to say hello to my mom. My mother is in Kumasi right now. I want to say hello to her. My brother came to Ghana, I think 2 days ago. I want to say hello to him, and Pastor Kenneth, who is also in Bakwai, one of my good friends, and everyone that I know in Ghana who I have connected with. I want to say hello to all of you and thank you for watching us today.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. Barbara, who are you saying hi to aside your husband?
Oh, please. You know, I can't say hi without saying hello to my handsome husband, Pastor Samuel Osupempo.
Right.
And oh yes, and to my group members, Adventists in Retrospect members, I know you're all watching, especially Nanaya, Ahen, Toka, and all. To my family, my mother-in-law, all my in-laws, and to my friends who are watching. And to you, Eve, it's been nice talking to you. And
Same
to all
here.
my panel members.
Right. Same here,
Oh,
Edmond.
and to my dear friend, Edmond Osei. Yes, Edmond Osei.
Okay.
Yes,
Now to the Edmond in the studio, who are you saying hi to?
Yeah, I want to say hi to Anita Safo. Today was her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Anita.
And then to my parent back in Takoradi, Stephen Dugan, as my cousin, and then to everybody that I can't even mention.
I know, right? Okay. Oh, thank you. I'd like to say thank you to my panelists. They've been amazing at the discussion. I mean, the points that were raised, you can see that some of these stories are not just surface stories as you may think. There may be deeper things going in there. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming. Thank you for making the show an interesting one. And thank you for all your insightful messages or opinions. I'd like to say another big thank you to my audience who always tune in to watch me every single day. God richly bless you for tuning in, for watching, for leaving your comments. Those who watch at home, those who watch us live on Facebook and YouTube, God richly bless you. I can't leave by not saying thank you to my amazing crew. You guys are so great. It takes a village to produce a TV show. So I'd like to say thank you so much for all the wonderful and good job that you're doing. I would also like to say a belated happy birthday to my friend Annabelle Ashade, and then a happy birthday to Nanole. Her birthday is tomorrow. God richly bless you all. I'll see you same time next week. This is Real Talk. Enjoy the rest of your day.